Hey, Lane Changers. We just got off an amazing interview with Mark Lack. And, I think at the end of the day, we know the next exit is success. I think the question is, are we on the journey and the road to actually get to that success? And what does success even look like in the first place? I think the world has told us one thing. I think our environment has told us another. And I think ultimately we've got to look at, kind of the rearview mirror and check out, like, what does that look like for me? What does it look like for Horace? What does it look like for you? And it's just so cool to be able to surround yourself with people that are changing the world and changing lanes every single day. And I'm so excited to go out to LA and spend time with him, be interviewed on his show. And I think, guys, one of the biggest takeaways for me is serve, 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 and then it will allow you to serve even more. That's what this business is about. That's what entrepreneurship is about. That's what life is about. And when you're abundant in that capacity, everything else kind of falls with that. And so, Horace, what were some of kind of your takeaways from listening to him?
Yep. Yeah, so Mark talks a lot about giving. The more you give and the better person you become, that's the less you attract. One thing I think the reason we're going to be on one of the top, business shows in the world wasn't because we reached out to Mark saying, hey, put us on your show, have us on your show.
Right.
We have a good message. We have this. We have blah, 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 blah. What we did is, Mark, you have an amazing message. We are writing this book that's going to inspire thousands of people. Will you share your story with us so we can share the story with the world? And that comes off way different. And we had no intentions of getting on Mark's show. We had no intentions of anything like that. We were giving without the expectation of return. And then we did this interview that you guys are about to watch, just out of return. Hopefully, Mark will talk a lot about it, but it's helping one person at least during the interview. So that's kind of why we did this, and giving without the expectation of getting anything in return, I think, is huge. Thank you, Mark, for being a part of the book. I hope all of you enjoy the book and love the book for what it is. We have so many amazing stories in there. What I want to do now, right before the interview, before you guys watch the amazing interview, is play a quick little video that Mark put together and his team that kind of describes what Mark has done. I hope you guys enjoy it. Take care.
Your brain is hardwired to survive, not to thrive. And if you don't know the process for reconditioning your brain for success, you'll never achieve your full potential, and you'll never live the life that you're capable of. I've invested over $500,000 into my personal and professional growth. I'm endorsed by celebrities, billionaires, experts, and New York Times bestselling authors in a dozen different industries. And I'm the best-selling author of the book, Shorten the Gap, Shortcuts to Success and Happiness, which is endorsed by world-renowned experts in personal and business development industry. And I grew a six-figure coaching company my first year out of college with $0 invested in marketing. And I want to share my formula for success with you. All of this success at an early age was based around a formula that anyone in the world can follow and model in their own lives to achieve extraordinary results in their personal and professional life. Before I became a successful entrepreneur, a best-selling author, and an advisor on the board of 2 other companies, I was one of the highest paid, best professional paintball players in the world, winning over $300,000 in high school alone, and traveling over 250,000 miles around the world competing professionally. My passion is helping young adults in high school, college, and recent college graduates achieve their full potential and make their life a masterpiece. And if we're going to be honest with ourselves, no matter who you are, at times we all struggle with self-doubts, limiting beliefs, and fears around success. Let me help you shorten the gap from the results you're producing now and the results that you want to achieve in the areas that you want to improve most. Join me on this journey of personal growth, transformation, financial abundance, and endless fulfillment in all that you do. Just enter your name and email right here.
Awesome, Facebook. Well, we are excited to have the man that's the legend, Mr. Mark Lack, joining us. It's been a very, very cool journey for us to get to know him and kind of collaborate with him on some of the stuff that he's doing. He was kind enough to be a contributing author in Life in the Fast Lane, which is our most recent book. It's the 3rd one in our series that went to #1. And so he was a big part and played a big role in that. And we're very blessed and honored to be a part of your community, Mark, with what you're doing. And so welcome to the interview.
It's good to be back, guys. Love creating content with you.
Awesome, brother. So yeah, if you're willing to, I know a lot of your story, and obviously you got a ton of people following you. But for those of you who don't know Mark, I just want you to kind of learn a lot about him. He's had a ton of success, not just financially, but personally. And I think his ability to create abundance in all different areas of life is something that we all aspire to. And I think a lot of times we get off balance because we're so focused on one thing that we lose track of the other things. And Mark's done a lot of that, but it really kind of began, I think he learned a lot by following his passion in the beginning when he was actually in high school making a couple $100,000, which is what most people don't do in their whole career. And he did that before he even graduated high school. So Mark, do you want to kind of share what you were an expert at, one of the top 10 in the entire world, when you were in high school, and what lessons you learned from that you've taken into your business?
Definitely, yeah. I'll share my story. First, I just want to acknowledge you guys. You guys are doing an amazing job of, just putting yourselves out there, putting your content out there. I think that's one of the hardest things that holds most people back is they just don't get started. Like right now, we're just all chilling at our houses. People think they have to have this big fancy studio. Before I had my TV show and the big fancy studio, I still do stuff like this. So it's like, you just got to get started. So for the people out there who are using limiting beliefs about the resources or the education or the money or the people they need, just get started. I admire you guys. You guys are killing it. You guys just had a best-selling book. And you were saying great things about me. And the reason why I've achieved what I have is simply because I've learned to model the patterns, the qualities, and the principles that other successful people have. So I'm not anyone special. I have no secrets. I've just learned to spend a lot of my time, my energy, and when I had it, money, investing and learning these things from other people, because success in anything is really a process. It's a formula. My passion in life is learning the processes, the patterns, the formulas to achieve greater happiness, health, wealth in all areas of my life. Now, my story, I like to start at around 14 years old. You've heard me say it before, but for anyone out there listening right now who hasn't, I'll quickly fly through it. 14 years old, I pretty much quit everything in my life. My parents had tried to put me in sports because I think sports is a great teaching tool, especially growing up. And so my parents had tried to put me in soccer, basketball, baseball, football, you name it, taekwondo. I had quit all of it. And so when I was 14 years old, begging my parents to get me into this very expensive hobby called paintball, they were like, we ain't going to get you into this expensive hobby. This isn't like buying you a basketball or a soccer ball and a jersey. We got to go out and buy you hundreds of dollars worth of gear, sometimes thousands of dollars as you advance. And every weekend you go play, it's hundreds of dollars. How do we know you're not going to just quit this? And I was showing them videos online. The internet was starting to get big around then. So I was showing them videos of these guys traveling the world playing professionally. And I was like, I want to be like them. I want to be on this team called Dynasty, and which is the best team in the world. And I was like, and I want to travel all over the globe competing professionally, making at the time what I thought seemed to be like pretty good money. Now, flash forward 3 or 4 years, I was on the best team in the world, Team Dynasty. I had traveled 250,000 miles around the world competing professionally. Amsterdam, Paris, Germany, Belgium, London, you name it. I was all over the globe just constantly. I went to 42 of the 50 states, and I made over $300,000 in cash prizes in high school. So I had a very unique experience around that age from 14 to 18. And I think I quit the sport around 20. And the reason why is because I came across a gentleman who I think both of you gentlemen know as Tony Robbins. And he's somebody who changed my life forever. And I was watching his videos on YouTube. And the reason why is because, to get real, it was like I wasn't doing well in school. And I feel like everyone needs to have some area of their life where they can get their 6 human needs fulfilled, as Tony Robbins talks about: certainty, variety, significance, connection/love, growth, and contribution. And at that time in my life, I didn't get significance really from any other area in my life because I was doing terrible in school. So I didn't get significance there. Yeah, you get it from your parents, but if you're a teenage punk, you kind of block that out. And then you get it from your friends. But it's really good to feel like a winner. And I feel like everyone needs to feel like a winner in some area of their life. And for me, it was paintball. And so that was my outlet. I was able to just go all in on that. But when I came across Tony, it was because of insecurities. I was like, how can I be more confident, like in the school world and in life outside of paintball, which was the only realm I felt like a superstar. I just felt like a normal, kind of like average. Didn't really have anything going for me. And so when I came across a video of Tony online that said, just the fact that you're alive means that you have the moral responsibility and the gift to not only become your best self, but to experience all that the world has to offer to you, which you can only do if you've become your best self. And then the third thing is you have to find a purpose to serve that's greater than yourself. And at that point in my life, I hadn't done any of those 3. I definitely wasn't my best self. I hadn't experienced all the world had to offer because, I mean, let's be honest, right? I was a kid. I couldn't have. And you really can't experience it till you're your best self. And I definitely didn't have a purpose to serve that was greater than myself. My purpose was just to go and win every tournament I could in paintball. So I came to a unique place in my life where I decided to leave the hobby slash sport of paintball. I got heavily invested into personal development. As you know, today I've invested over $500,000 in learning from and working with some of the most successful and intelligent people on the planet to really shorten the learning curve for me on how do I have a happier, healthier, wealthier life? How can I have a successful business? And things of those sorts. Now I'm blessed, having invested, a lot of time, energy, and money over the last 9 years in sculpting who I am today, from being the punk. I wish I could show you guys a picture of my high school card. I just looked like the biggest jerk ever. People always see me today and they're like, "Oh, it was always like that," and I'm like, "No, it wasn't."
Right.
I had a vision of who I wanted to become to live the life that I want. So it's like, you look at what life do you want to have, and then it's not how do I get it. It's what life do I want to have and who do I need to become to live that life, to step into that life. And so for me, I knew the life I wanted to have. I think all of us have, or most of us, if we're lucky, have a clear idea of what life we want. The problem, I think, is that most of us are going about it wrong. We're trying to stay who we are and achieve a new result. But what's ironic and counterintuitive is the result is the byproduct of who you become. And so for me, I caught that lesson. I learned that at a young age, is that to live the life that I want, to have the income that I want, to have the impact that I want, the relationships that I want, the confidence, the emotional states that I want, the experiences that I want, I simply have to become the person that has those things. And so that's the journey that I'm committed to not only being on for myself, but hopefully inspiring and impacting others to do as well, is to realize and recognize, who do you need to become to step into the reality and the life and the dreams that you have for yourself? Because it's very counterintuitive. You will have, imagine 3 pillars, the middle pillars you will have everything that you want if you become your best self and you give more to the world. So by being your best self and by giving more to the world, the byproduct of which is having everything that you want. I'm a living like example of this. And I didn't figure this out by myself. I learned this from other people before me that are older, wiser, more successful, more intelligent. Those are the people that have taught me this, that you will have everything you want if you just become your best self and give more to the world. And as you become a better version of yourself, you have more to give. And as you give more and more comes back to you. And so, I could preach all day, as you can tell, but like the lesson for people here is just to really understand that you can have everything you want in life. Think about the things you want to have right now. You can have all of it. You really can, but you need to become your best self, and you need to learn how you can give more value to the world. Your earning ability, the income you have, is in direct proportion to your value adding ability. I'll say it again. Your earning ability is in direct proportion to your value adding ability. So again, how much value you give is in direct proportion to how much income you have. Again, very counterintuitive. You won't have the income until you first give the value. Now, how can you give more value? By being your best self. And as you be your best self, you can give more. And again, what happens next, guys? You have more. So it's a very counterintuitive lesson here that you will have more by giving more, but in order to give more, you have to be more. And that's essentially the journey that I'm honored to be on for myself, but also to teach others how they can do that for themselves. It's really easy. It actually is. You're going to live your whole life anyways. You might as well commit to becoming your best self on the journey.
Yeah, Mark, you bring up an interesting point, because I think our whole world, once you actually get into this realm and start hanging out with people like you, in the chapters right around you are John Lee Dumas, and then Kevin Harrington, and then you. It's pretty cool the people that we have in this, and that's just 3 of the many people that are in this book. And the reason I'm saying that is all of you guys, everybody that has created success, understands these principles that we weren't taught, and everything that we know now, I believe, is counterintuitive to what we were taught, right, growing up, and the belief systems that we've created, a lot of which we never really had a chance consciously to even be given a chance to create those, because they're subconscious based on how we were raised, literally 90+%, by the time we're 18 months. And so the entire thing is an uphill climb as soon as we start life. And entrepreneurship is basically a beta test of competing against everything that we've been taught to see if it's actually true and create what we believe is the truth in our own life. That's been my experience. And so,
100%.
Within that, just kind of share about the importance of, because every single person in this book, every single successful person you bring on business rock stars, they are who they needed to become, and they've accomplished a lot, and you've attracted them by who you've become. And this book is a reflection of the people that Horace and I have surrounded ourselves with in our lives and to the journey to this point. So talk about the importance of your network, your inner circle, because every guru out there says you become a direct reflection of the 5 people you hang out with and the books you read. And there is a lot of truth behind that. I also believe, and part of what we do is not just the books you read, but the books you're in. That's why we have 3 #1 best-selling books, and that's why we continue to offer people to do that, because it's amazing when you read your own writings, when you've developed yourself to become somebody that you weren't when you wrote that book. It's like revolutionary to see the progression, and that's why I love going back and doing some of this. Yeah. So talk to us about your network. Who's important in your life? Who do you learn from? And just the importance in general for people that are watching this, that are sitting there with, their inner circle that's kind of draining them and literally killing them. How do they revitalize that to get life back?
I think 2 of the most important things in life, separate, of course, from your spiritual beliefs of God and whatnot. Health. I'm drinking my spinach, protein, vegetable smoothie over here, guys. 2 of the most important things in your life. I think most people underestimate health and relationships. You're asking me about relationships. I wanted to do a little plug there because I was eating my vegetable smoothie. But relationships, I think, are, as Tony says, the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of your relationships. And I also believe that the success that you have in life is in direct proportion to the success of your relationships. And as I've started to surround myself with my inner circle of friends, whether it's guys my age in their 20s or whether it's guys that are 50, 60, 70, they're all millionaires. Some of them are billionaires. And as I started to make my inner circle, and by the way, money does not have to do with having great people in your life, but usually people that are playing at their full potential and are at their best level are also making money. Now, not all of them. My mother is amazing. She hasn't worked in 30 years. So not everybody out there who's amazing, who you want to have or should have in your life, has to have money. That doesn't have to do with it. But in the context of business, which I know is what the majority of our topic here is for, is entrepreneurs and small business owners or aspiring entrepreneurs.
Right.
If you start swinging with guys that are embarrassed to only make $500,000, or they're embarrassed to only make $3 million a year. Like, I know guys that would be embarrassed if they made $3 or $5 million in a year. Embarrassed. Those are the kind of guys you need to eventually start swinging with. Because what happens is everything starts to become relative. When you look at the bill, and the bill for dinner is $500 and you go, oh my God, $500 for dinner? You start hanging out with guys that they get $5,000 dinner bills, don't even look at it and drop their black card on it, and they just take it. And those become your friends. And then you walk outside and the valet pulls up either with a limo or the Rolls Royce or the Bentley. Now, that doesn't have to be the case. And I don't want this to be all about materials and money. What I'm saying is, when you start to make things relative, they all are relative, but when you start to shift your perspective and realize that making millions of dollars is easy. Why do I believe that? Everyone around me makes millions of dollars. So it's easy. But when you grow up with the belief that making $100,000 is so hard, and in order to do that, you have to step on people's backs, and that money is the root of all, if you filled in the blank with evil, it's because we're unconsciously conditioned with these beliefs. So how are you ever going to achieve the financial freedom for your family, for yourself? How are you ever going to have the income or the impact you can have in the world? How are you going to experience all that you want? How are you going to be no longer indebted to the government, in debt, and all of this crap that we've been, I guess, sort of like led into to believe that we got to go to school? What's the statistic? The average college graduate in 2016 has $37,000 in debt. The average college graduate has $37,000 in debt. It will take, on average, 21 years to pay that off. And the average college graduate 55% of which are unemployed or underemployed, and 85% of college graduates in 2016 moved back in with their parents. What kind of system are people investing in? And I did too. If those are the statistics. If I said, hey guys, here's the stats for my business. Do you want to invest in it? Here's the stats for my program. Are all the people that get my program, those are the statistics. You'd be like, I ain't buying that. That's crap. The problem is that the average person out there still believes that the only path to long-term success and financial freedom and retirement is to go through the school system, because where else do I get credible education? Here's a lesson for you. Stop waiting until you're qualified to take action. I'll say it again. Stop waiting until you're certified, qualified, have the paper, someone gave you permission to go out and take action. At 23 years old, I was charging $500 an hour for coaching that therapists weren't even charging that much, that had their degrees, their PhDs, that were certified and qualified. So again, that's what I love about entrepreneurs. They don't wait until they're qualified to take action. So like, if you can take away anything right now, you don't have to wait until you're a millionaire to be a consultant. You don't have to wait until you're a certified therapist or psychologist to be giving that type of value to people. I went out, I hustled, I grinded, I went to networking events, I got in for free, I volunteered. I opted into everybody's email nurturing funnels to get all their free content in hopes that I'd eventually buy. And some I did. I met people. I bartered and traded with people. I did whatever I had to do to get the information, the knowledge and skill sets to be the better version of myself I knew I needed to be, to give the value I needed to have the income and the lifestyle and the experiences and the relationships that I want. So one of the fastest ways, I know the original thing I went on a tangent is about relationships, is you've got to surround yourself with incredible people who break your paradigm that you don't need to be qualified, you don't need to be certified. Millions of dollars is nothing, because I know guys with billions that still think they're broke because somebody else has more billions. Like, it's all relative. And so the people you hang out with is one of the biggest environments. I've got my freaking board here I'm about to do a training on, and it's covered up right now, but it's environments, which is relationships, is one of our biggest environments. Because when you live at home and you're a kid, your parents, that's one of the biggest environments. That right here, it says conditions. So your environment conditions you with the values and beliefs and the model of the world that you have. So your environment, which is, again, when you grow up at home, conditions you with the values and beliefs and your model of the world, the way things are, the way what things mean. Failure is bad, right? Money's bad. And then here, your values and beliefs and your model of the world ultimately define how you think, feel, and behave, right? Your values, your beliefs, and your model of the world, the way you look at things, the way you label things, determines how you're going to think, feel, and behave. Is that true or is that not true?
Absolutely, 100%.
And then down here, how you think, feel, and behave, compounded over a long enough period of time, sometimes instantaneously, determines our results and our outcomes. And after enough of our results and our outcomes compounded over and over again, it results in our destiny. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and financially. So again, guys, how important are relationships? Our freaking environment, which is one of our biggest environments ever, is the relationships we have in our life on a day-to-day basis. You want to talk about how important relationships are? I just broke it down for you. The biggest environment you will ever have outside of living within your own mind, which sometimes we're our worst critics, the second biggest environment that usually reconditions or conditions who we think we are and the values we believe is our relationships. From our past and our present, and guess what? Also our future. So until you start consciously surrounding yourselves with the people, the environment, the right people, that environment, to start conditioning you to take you all the way down the ladder, you'll never truly have the destiny, the results, the outcome that you want mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. So if you want to take control of your destiny, as crazy as it sounds, you're not really in control of your destiny until you start controlling who you hang out with. And so you start controlling your environments.
What you're saying is resonating so much with me, at least. Especially, being a kid and, with Tony Robbins, I remember reading or hearing or watching a video at one point where he said, I have this beautiful multi-million-dollar house in, California, and it's gorgeous and I love it. And I go into a billionaire friend's house and it's like a castle and it's like 50 times bigger. And I come back to my house and I'm like, this is garbage. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, what, I'm living in, like a dumpster. Like, I need to get out of this. And he reconditioned his mind. Similar to what we have, since I joined Changing Lanes, we together, me and Lane, have built it to a 6-figure company. And I thought, as a 22-year-old, I was like, this is really cool. And, talking with you now and then talking with some people that we interviewed on Thursday for our book launch, they're like, yeah, we've made, we've netted, a couple $1 million our first year. I'm like, what the hell is 6 figures? Like, we're
exactly, because you start. But the thing that I want to make a point of, and I'm glad you brought that up, is what happens when we start surrounding ourselves, and this is a big lesson here, when we start to change our environments and we start to hang out with new people playing at a new level, what typically happens, this is human psychology, is we always like to compare, and you just did it right there. And it's one of two things when you play the comparison game. You're either comparing yourself to somebody above you who's making way more money, and it either does one of two things: it inspires you to want to be better, or it makes you feel bad. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. If I go, that fool's making 10 mil, my $1 million feels like garbage now. Like, I make $1 million a year, I should be so grateful. Either A, I'm inspired and I'm so grateful for where I'm at, and he inspires me to want to do better, or I look at that 10 million and I go, dude, I'm still broke. I know billionaires who think they're broke. They're like, he's got 10 billion, I've only got 1.2. And I'm like, are you serious? You're actually like depressed. Like, when they focus on how much richer somebody else is, because that's their only measurement stick for like significance and respect and quality of life, they actually feel bad. Where focus goes, energy flows. And if you can get a rich guy to focus on how broke he is compared to another rich guy, it makes him feel bad, or it inspires him to want to do better. Now, the flip side is when you compare yourself to somebody doing worse than you, it makes you feel better. So there's two ways we play the comparison game. We look at somebody above us and it either inspires us or makes us feel like shit, or we look at somebody doing less than us and we feel better. So the comparison game is a problem as you start to surround yourself with better people. Some people like to always be the smartest, the richest guy in the room because it makes them feel better. Again, there's a problem there. And so what I'm telling you is, as you start to change your environment of your relationships, which was the initial question, you will probably start to play the comparison game. And so just be aware of it and disassociate and cut it out. I do it too. Our brains just naturally will like compare ourselves to somebody doing better and be like, oh man, I'm not doing anything compared to that guy. And then to make ourselves feel better, we'll go, but I'm doing way better than all of these people. And so, but it's just what happens, right? We go, well, I'm actually not in that good a shape. That fool's shredded. But there's all these people over here that are overweight. And so we always try to go back and forth, back and forth. So what I'm telling you is, as you change your environments, just be aware. You brought it up. You inspired me to open that message up there, because you were like, 6 figures is nothing. But years ago, you probably would have been begging to be where you are now. So just always remind yourself of that.
Right.
Yeah, and Mark, real quick, I think this is so important. And a lot of times what happened, a former president said, comparison is the thief of joy. And ultimately, you're robbing yourself of the gratitude of the things that you should be having and the accomplishments that you have created, at least at this point. And so one thing that I want you to kind of hit on real quick is, a lot of times we'll look at somebody who's already made it, right? They quote unquote have made it, when they may be self-reflecting, saying, man, I'm not even close to where I want to be.
Because of the relationship.
And we forget the journey. Exactly. Correct. And the journey that they've been on, the road of life that they've been on, is